before the session will be begin shortly. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to guest lecture. I'm back with Siti Khairunnissa. It's my pleasure today to be host today for the sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to greet our Secretary of the Magister of Law, Pak Mahmud Mulyadi, and our speaker, Prof.Ida. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. You have any question for the presenter, please use the chat box. Please type them in the question box in our Zoom. If you are not asking question, please keep yourself mute during the live question and answer sessions. And I hope so to all the participants, turn on your videos. Zoom meeting. First of all, may I briefly, maybe our speakers, says Prof.Ida Madieha, binti Ghani Azmi. Before that, I've been tell about the experience about our professors. So let's continue our meeting last week talking about cyber law. So the screen is your, Prof.
Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is my pleasure to be here again with you all, giving my third session for this semester. I will continue where we stopped the other day. Let me share.
Okay, got it.
Now,
can see yours.
Okay. Thank you. Now, we all know that, the multitude, the type and variety of crimes on the internet is forever improving or changing. The perpetrators have not only diversified the mode of attack, but the intensity of the attacks as well. As a result, the law is responding very poorly. It's very difficult to catch all these multitude and variety of cyber crimes using existing legislation. So you need to update the legislation. But by the time we update the legislation, the perpetrators have changed the modus operandi, and it'll be, difficult to catch them. So this is the problem that we have now, is that the law is coping very poorly. And of course, as far as Malaysia is concerned, we try to get in touch with the latest in terms of the type and the mode of cybercrime, but it is not necessarily, effective. Now, of course, at the international level, we have this Council of Europe's Convention on Cybercrime 2001. You may say, what is so up to date a convention which is, inked in 2001 or formulated at 2001? Because, by 20 years, that is definitely outdated. But that is the challenge of legislators. You have to frame your provision neutrally and broadly so that it will cover future crimes. And we call that proofing your legislation. You make it technology proof so that it covers the action rather than the type of crime. But Europe's Convention on Cybercrime 2001 is still the convention to look for if you are trying to update your existing legislation, because they have continuous discussion, continuous protocol. They have notes, explanatory notes as well, that keeps in touch with the latest development. So although it was inked in 2001, but actually there are a lot of developments, right, in the form of protocol and explanatory notes that actually linked it to existing modus operandi, and they meet very often to get themselves updated with the current developments. Now, to remind you again, there are three important principles for information security, right? That is confidentiality. At times, when you attack a computer and that leads to data leakage, that will affect the confidentiality of the data. Secondly, the attack may target the information itself and modify the information that affects integrity of the data. Thirdly, if the attack is as such so severe that it brings down the operation of the computer, that affects the availability of the computer data and system. So these three are important components for any future legislation that you can think of, future provision that you can think of on any type of cybercrime and any type of cyber attack. We call this CIA principles of information security. Of course, CIA refers to, the famous security agency in the US, but it is also the famous confidentiality, integrity, and availability principles under information security law. Okay. Of course, the type of offenses which are listed under CIA is not exhaustive, but it has the main basic crimes that you know of now because it is updated frequently. Now, if you were to expand the CIA principles, it will cover illegal access, that's hacking, illegal interception, right? Illegal interception, data interference, system interference, DDoS, ransomware, malware, as well as misuse of devices. Now, these are the legislation that we have in Malaysia, right? We have laws that deals with content, for example, Copyright Act, we have traditional crimes legislation like Penal Code and Evidence Act. And we have the newer so-called cyber laws legislation, CMA 98, Computer Crimes Act 1997, DSA 97, PDA 2010, E-Government Activities 2007, and Electronic Commerce Act 2006. I'm not quite sure what Indonesia has, but I know for sure you have your personal data protection. And I know you have your traditional crimes legislation. Beside that, I'm not quite sure whether you have the equivalent of digital signature or whether you have the equivalent of e-government or electronic commerce. But I also mentioned that in the pipeline, we're drafting the cybersecurity bill that deals with cyber attacks, right? And we're also coming up with a legislation on data sharing. These are the list of legislation that may have bearing on computer crimes, right? In one way or the other, may not be directly on computer crimes, but indirectly, it will implicate crimes on the internet. Now, let's try and spend a bit more time on what type of crimes this is, on this type of crimes, computer fraud. Now, fraud is a common crime that involves cheating. Cheating, that's fraud. I remember many, many years ago, decades ago, I went to Egypt. And in Egypt, one mode of transportation is to take the taxi. And the taxi driver will always say, Wallahi, ana Muslim, Wallahi, ana Muslim. And he ended up taking me a long route because he wants to charge me more. That's also a form of fraud. You can understand why they do that because, there are opportunities. They're in need of money, and I'm an opportunity for them, to take advantage of. And it's the same thing with fraud, internet fraud that is happening nowadays because there are a lot of opportunities on the internet. Everybody is on the internet, right? Even in Indonesia, e-commerce platform is widespreading because of COVID-19. You purchase goods on the internet. You are connecting with people using internet. You are you're doing business on the internet. So there are a lot of opportunities for fraud. Now, computer fraud can occur in two ways. Either you target the computer, you take or alter electronic data, or like ransomware is also a form of fraud in the sense that you are targeting that computer system in exchange for money, right? Or to gain unlawful use of a computer system, right? So computer in many parts of the world, there are specialized legislation for computer fraud. In the US, for example, we have a Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, but in the UK, they rather treat it like normal fraud. It's the same like, that taxi driver that cheats me, because he wants to gain more money. Although I forgive him already. I know why they do that to tourists. It's okay. But, it's a form of fraud. And you don't necessarily have to come up with dedicated legislation on computer fraud. You can put it under the existing fraud. You can do that. But of course, the challenge is proving it, because the method and the modus operandi is different. Now, I'll just give you examples of Malaysia. I dare not find examples in Indonesia because you know better. Okay, this is just to show how huge this cybercrime is. Like in Malaysia, I mean, this is the figure in 2021. Malaysians suffered about 2.23 billion losses from cybercrime frauds. It is basically affecting everybody and involves different type of scams, right? Now, the figures is from 2017 to 2021, right? There are about 67,552 cybercrime cases, all right? E-commerce scams topped the chart with 23,011 cases, all right? Now, a lot of these e-commerce scams comes from people who advertise to sell products, sometimes through WhatsApp group, or Telegram, saying that they are selling this and this and this. And, the photo looks so nice on Telegram and on WhatsApp. But by the time it reaches you, the product is entirely different. Or, the product doesn't arrive you at all. You end up just paying. And there's no way in which you can get in touch with the supplier of the goods because, it's through WhatsApp. Okay. Followed by illegal loans. Right? Illegal loans. Can you imagine? People are in desperate of money. They want to borrow money, but they dare not go to the authorized institutions because of implications like you need to have proper documentation, right? So they rather go and borrow. Previously you go and borrow from your friends and your families, but you have these services who offer such loans and you fall prey to that. And surprisingly, investment scams, people that promise if you invest 1 ringgit, by end of the day, you get 20 ringgit. Wow, isn't that nice? I just put in 1 ringgit and at the end of the day, I get 20 ringgit. And I've heard of people who use this kind of investment schemes because it's easy, to double up your money, triple up your money, right? You may get that 20 ringgit first few times. Then after that, once you double up your money, triple up your money, then you lost your money. So it's such a huge thing in Malaysia, and teens also fall prey to cyber crimes, because teens spend so much time on the internet, particularly now in Malaysia. The data is most people have more than 2 devices, right? One is your laptop and the other one is handphone. Some people even have 2 handphones, right? So we do spend a lot of time on internet for all kinds of purposes. The big thing in Malaysia was mule account, right? Keldai, mule, keldai, the smaller version of a horse, all right? That's keldai. Why do we call it keldai? In Malaysia, we have this terminology known as mule drug, all right? Mule drug traffickers. These are people who sort of like bring traffic drugs on behalf of others. Say you are at the airport and somebody asks you to carry something, all right? And without your knowledge, that something turns out to be a drug. So you did it innocently. You are the innocent carrier, right? So we call that mule drug trafficker. Now, mule account happens when someone unknowingly or innocently allow his account to be used by scammers. So these scammers will use that account for others to deposit money in. So unknown to him, you know, these scammers are collecting money and using his or her account as a mule account. Now, of course, it's very difficult to go after the scammers. So in Malaysia, what authorities eventually do is to charge the owner of the mule account. Now, I know that is something which you feel is not right, because you see, the owner of the account is innocent. He does not know that his account has been used by scammers to deposit the money, right? Unfortunately, because it's very hard to go after the scammers may be overseas, masquerading his identity not known, location not known. So it's easier to go after the person who hold the account, who may be in Malaysia, right? Who is in Malaysia. So there are a number of cases where the police have charged the owner of the mule account for assisting or abetting, because under criminal law, we also have the concept of assisting and abetting. They may not be the perpetrator, but they may be assisting the perpetrator. So this has been very, very controversial. But the idea is, once you identify the mule account, you'll be able to freeze the account to stop the money from being transferred to the perpetrator. And you definitely will deter. And the reason why they charge the owner of the mule account is to deter others from falling prey into this kind of scheme. So mule account has become very widespread in Malaysia, that authorities have to start educating users, right? Sometimes you have 2 or 3 accounts, and you give out the account number for a specific account to another person, and unknowingly that account has been used for scamming purposes. So there are many sort of like warning given, where this come from Bank Negara Malaysia, and they are basically warning: your bank account is being used by others to either collect or transfer funds. These funds could be laundered from illegal activities. All right. So if caught, your bank account may be closed, and you may have difficulties in opening a bank account in the future. You may also be at risk of being charged with facilitating criminal activities. Now, and then Menegara also gives some advice, right? He said what to look out for. If you receive offer from others to write your bank account, right? Surely that's something fishy. Or you receive very lucrative job offer that require you to hand over your ATM card or online banking details, right? You shouldn't be sharing your ATM card or sharing your online banking details. Though I know among family members, it's very common that you share it with your daughter, with your son, or a specific child will be withdrawing money for the mother or the father. Or if there's any lenders requesting for ATM card as collateral during the loan application process. Now, the reason why Malaysia is going after the mule account is actually to stop these scammers, because it's not possible to go after the scammers. Now, love scam. Love scam is also widespreading in Malaysia, right? So it's not targeting just normal person, because they know normal person don't have much money. So they go after people who have money. Like for this, in this case, a woman works at an institution of higher learning, ended up 500,000 poorer, okay? Because he keep transferring money to that man, okay? All amounted to 500,000. And love scams is a huge chunk of scams in Malaysia. That since 2018, this is very recent, right? 12 July 2023, there are about 7,000 love scams, mostly female victims. You know why? Because the men would be shy to report it. They suspect there are also men falling silent to love scam, but they don't want to report it to authorities. Even a company director lost 5.29 million in love scam after becoming acquainted with a foreign man, right? Foreign man through social media. That's why people say, if it's too good to be true, it's not true, right? And you have to look at the person who wants to be friend with you. So be careful with people who approach you, wanting to start a relationship with you. Okay. So to sum up, these are the types of computer fraud spam. 419, advance fee, Russian scam, Nigerian scam, overpayment fraud, escrow fraud, hoax emails, data mining, spyware, malware, hacking, virus, worms, malware, phishing, DDoS, and whatnot. The names may change, reflecting newer types of cybercrime. Is on the increase because these people are just looking at opportunities, right? And of course, they will do whatever it takes to take advantage of those opportunities. Now, another form of scam is identity theft. All right. Am I too fast? Okay. All right. If you want to ask anything, all right, please go ahead. All right. Identity theft. Identity theft is when someone steal your identity. Either they get hold of your bank account, your IC number. In Malaysia, it's IC number, and they then enter into transactions using your name. We call it identity theft. So identity theft is the deliberate use of someone else's identity, right? Usually as a method to gain a financial advantage or obtain credit and other benefits in the other person's name, and perhaps to the other person's disadvantage. I'm not sure whether it has happened to you, but I have heard of my family members, right, whose Facebook account has been stolen by others. Suddenly, there's some weird looking guy or good looking guy or a lady or madam who appears as in the profile photo of your Facebook account. Right? So these things is happening very frequently in the context of Facebook. For example, you may think, what is their motive? What is their motive in masquerading as you? Initially, is just to be in check, in touch with your circle of friends, but later, they might want to cheat your friends and try to gain money from your friends, right? So if someone else were to use information like name, identifying number, credit card number, and use that without permission, that will amount to identity theft. Now, in Malaysia, beside the Computer Crimes Act, we also use penal code because all these crimes, all this scam and fraud is just a typical fraud in the real world, except that it is done in the online environment. So we have section 424 of the penal code, which is used against bank account holders who receive money from scam victims. So these are the mule account, kaldai, account kaldai. I'm not sure what kaldai is in Indonesia. Another form of crime is DDoS attack or distributed network attacks, or also known as distributed denial of service. This is when they send massive messages or signals to your system that your system cannot cope it, and it ran down. All right, so it basically stopped the running of the service because the system just couldn't cope with these massive attacks. Now, DDoS attacks may look innocent to you, but it's not true, right? Once a system is down, then you need to put it up again. And in putting it up, you need to do all kind of tests to ensure that there is nothing that has been put into your system, because at times these DDoS attacks will come in with some form of malware which they have saved or sent into your system. If you survey the among corporations, what is the main form of cyber attack? It is actually ransomware, right? Now, in this report, Prudential, which is one of the main insurance company in Malaysia, they have admitted, right, that they have been attacked by ransomware. And like I mentioned, ransomware is done for malicious purposes. The reason why they do it is because they want to get ransom from you, right? So they will disrupt your service. You will not be able to make use of your service for days and for months until you pay the ransom. Yes, Hussein, you want to ask question? Hussein? Hussein Saidi? You raise your hand? You typing it?
Yes, miss.
Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you for opportunity. I would like to ask the miss about cybercrime. This is due to the page. I would like about the cybercrime. What is the improve in there, and why that crime inflow over there? How the rule in Malaysia and divide to Indonesia? That miss.
Can you repeat that again? Just repeat it again.
Okay. My answer is how the role of cybercrime in Malaysia, and what is the viral crime in Malaysia, and how to solve the crime in there with the government.
Right. Now, I have shown you newspaper columns, right? Newspaper columns from Malaysia showing the type of crimes which are prevalent now in Malaysia, right? I've shown you reports on love scam, right? Investment scam, mule account, keldai account, keldai, mule account, and one in front of you is ransomware. These four are the most prevalent cybercrime in Malaysia. Previously, when we talk about cybercrime, they only talk about hacking. Your computer got hacked, right? Unauthorized access, that's it. But now, there is a reason to this hacking. They do
Sorry,
it
miss.
to cheat you. Yes.
Miss, sorry. I ask, this is especially what is the role of the deep web and dark web in the cybercrime ecosystem, and how the law enforcement again attempt to address illegal activities there. That's special.
Right. Okay, that's quite right. Because it's so prevalent, the the Bank Negara has set up a special center, which I think is going next. Special center, we call it National Scam Response Center. It's a team of the banking sector, Bank Negara, Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, financial institutions, and telecommunication companies. Because financial crime is happening at such a rapid rate, then we need to find a solution, at least to give speedy solution to the victims of such crime. So if you talk about cybercrime in Malaysia now, right now, the in think now is mule account. What will Bank Negara do if you fall prey to these scammers? If you notify them and the police authorities, even the police force, have a special team that looks at cybercrime. So they will try and freeze the account, make sure that the money is not transferred to the scammers, and they will try as much as possible to help the victims of cybercrime. Am I answering you?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, Miss.
So, yeah. So because of that, we are in the process of enhancing our cybercrime legislation. We are going to amend our Computer Crimes Act. We're going to amend our Penal Code. We're going to amend our Evidence Act so that we can deal with these cyber crimes more effectively and punish the scammers more harshly. Okay? And this center, National Scam Response Center, has been very useful. So if you have fallen victim to a scam, they even advise you, you have to contact your bank account number. It's not a simple thing, Hussein, right? If someone is using your bank account, suddenly your account becomes zero, or your account become only 1 rupiah, right? That's very, very dangerous, right? And for many people who become victims to this scam, it is a matter of their livelihood. All their savings is gone, right? So the most important thing is to make sure that at least some money can be saved. Previous transactions, of course, it's hard because money has gone, right? But that's why you have to keep tab of your account. I don't keep tab of my account as well. I don't check it every day. So sometimes there are suspicious transactions, people stealing money from your account, right? So they say contact your bank account, lodge a police report. The police also have special unit that look into cybercrime. Okay, so what goes wrong is the enforcement, right? Enforcement. It's so prevalent that police force is having problem. There are too many cases, and it's very hard to go after the scammers. They may be, in Nigeria, they may be using false identities. It's very, very difficult. So what the police force do is they have a collaboration. They collaborate with other international agencies, right? So, they ask the Interpol, we call this G2G or P2P. Like police force in Malaysia will ask police force from Indonesia, because there are also investment scam or scams coming from Indonesia. So if you receive numbers starting plus 62, right? Khairunnissa, Indonesia. Yeah. So if they suspect the number coming from Indonesia, they will ask the Indonesian police force. So they have to do that, they have to collaborate with other police agencies around the world to gather information about these scammers, right? That is just trying to catch who is behind it. Who is behind it? That takes a long time, a difficult process. Then bringing them, charge them to the court is also difficult, right? Charge them to the court is also difficult because our judges have very traditional thinking about evidence. Need to prove. There must not be any broken chain in terms of evidence, right? So it's very hard, all right? But of course, when it comes to legislatures, like me being involved in technical committees and people like you in the law schools, you always think of the law. Law must be ready. Unfortunately, the law is not sufficiently ready to deal with all the different types of cybercrime. So there are a lot of substantive law issues. That is just the list of the legislation in Malaysia. There are many gaps in our current legislation, and like I mentioned, by the time we come up with a law on scam, for example, right now we are amending the law so that we are able to deal with scam, but the type of scams have changed, right? Now they're saying they're even using Shopee. Okay, Shopee. They're using, like in Malaysia, we have Touch and Go. It's a card that we use, for our toll, our parking, Touch and Go.
Like
So
the
they are
Indonesia.
changing their modus operandi. Yes?
It's like in Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have from the another account like e-money from Mandiri Bank.
Mhm.
Like you said that card for using the tolls. Is it right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So they look at newer opportunities, and when it comes to law, you have to be careful with the wording of the law to ensure that it covers these types of scams, right? Sometimes it's hard to do that. Of course, um, this is just information theft, a whole new episode of Catch Me If You Can, right? And you've seen many movies on information theft, so many of them, right? um really, right? Information theft is a new hybrid of crime involving range of misdeeds which will all share one common outcome: the loss of control over the value of information. While ABC, that's the ABC of information theft, right? ABC of information theft, and it can come in various forms of crimes, either in the form of stealing. I'm not sure whether you have this concept, trespass to goods. We have under common law conversion of goods. It may be stealing information. Okay, it may be fraud. It may be cheating. It may be impersonation, right? Identity theft. It is, of course, amounting to hacking as well. So there are multiple type of crimes that can actually cover all these cyber crimes, but whether there are adequate enough to cover these crimes is something else. Okay. Now, of course, the last I mentioned about cyber attacks to our critical information infrastructure, something that Indonesia have to think of as well, because this is an entirely different ballgame altogether. This is not cybercrime, but this is cyber attacks. Attacks on computer system, essential computer system that keeps the government running, that keeps the country running. This is because a lot of our information is now in the databases. A lot of activities now is online. Therefore, it is important that we protect, those critical computer systems. It may attack electric tower, telecommunications, computing assets, and whatnot. And if it attacks transportation, for example, in Malaysia, this is our LRT, light rapid transit. This is the same with Jakarta. You have one as well, the MRT. Imagine if they attack that system, it may cost lives. So the offense must be more severe for those who attack this type of system. Punishment must be more severe. Otherwise, people will do it. People don't differentiate between private computers owned by Hussein and computer system belonging to the Ministry of Transport, for example.
Miss,
All right.
Miss.
And in fact, in Malaysia, there was a time when computer system malfunction caused the Bursa Malaysia to suspend a whole day of trading. Can you imagine the amount of losses, right? When the computer system is down, 1 million, right? This is again an old report. I mean, you can get newer reports of such system malfunction that has caused, trouble to Malaysia. They call it computer glitch, 2008. But now they call it differently. Now, how you protect your computer system? You can also protect the physical security of the building that plays the computer system, right? Just like you have security guards in front of your hotel. That security guards will be carrying a rifle, sometimes bringing a few sniffer dogs, right? So you also have to protect the location where the essential computer system is located by designating those areas as protected areas. In Malaysia, right, if you come to our KLCC, for example, Kuala Lumpur, the Twin Towers, right, and if you go to where Petronas has their business, there are a lot of companies that have their location in Petronas Twin Towers, you will realize that to enter that building, you need to have authorization, correct? Because it's a protected area. You will not be able to enter without authorization, without permit. You need to get permit card, and you're not supposed to simply walking up and down the airwell because that will go against the restriction which is set under the Protected Areas and Protected Places Act 1959. So it's possible that if you have computer system which is very essential to the running of your country, you designate it as Protected Areas and Protected Places Act 1959. Okay, and of course, it's very, very and likely that your country might fall prey of cyber terrorism. That these people, when they attack your computer system, they do it for terrorist purposes. They want to pursue some kind of political agenda. So they are not happy against Indonesian government, and that's why they are attacking your Bank Mandiri. Okay, right? This is a form of cyber terrorism, right? Cyber terrorism. And cyber terrorism is a very serious form of cybercrime. It's not a typical cybercrime, right? So under our penal code, we say something that is designed or intended to disrupt or seriously interfere with computer system or the provision of any services directly related to communications, infrastructure, banking, or financial services, utilities, transportation, or other essential infrastructure, right? So cyber terrorism is a malicious form of cyber attacks, and they do that to further some kind of agenda. I'm just going through the different type of cybercrime. Okay. Anything that involves prejudice to national security or public security is also a form of cyber terrorism. Now, in Malaysia, post 1911, post 911, we have amended our criminal procedure law, right? That was in 2004, right? Giving more powers to police force to arrest people who we believe is committing cyber terrorism, which includes, the availability to intercept communication. All right, any questions so far? Those are just the different types of cybercrime.
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Why have some types of attacks become more prevalent than others, like terrorism?
The world is becoming more polarized, Hussein. And you know that we are having war now, right? Russia and Ukraine, Gaza and Israel, right? So there are many people who may not be happy with your government or government stand on these wars, and they might be targeting your country. We live in a global world full of polarized ideas, people with all kinds of agenda, and they want to kill your government. Kill, not kill in the sense of, eliminate, but they want to make your government life, miserable. So it's a real security threat. So in that sense, cybercrime has gone to the other extreme, to the level of the extreme level of security of the nation. Okay. Now, if you Google, you can find that cyber attacks to countries is very common and it's done on a daily basis. You can see the number of attacks from some of these sites. Just you can see, attacks coming from China targeting targeting US, or US targeting China, or China targeting Russia, but you'll be surprised. There are also targets towards your country. I have not seen attacks on Indonesia, but I've seen attacks on Malaysia. It's done on a daily basis. Yeah.
Yes, Miss. Thank you.
Yes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right.
Miss.
If I may just finish up, right? Now, I did mention that the law has difficulties to cope because of the different type of cybercrime. They keep creating newer and newer ones, right? But also the law have problem with evidence, all right? Evidence. In any criminal offenses, the evidence must be intact. There must not be any gap in the transmission of the evidence. It must be primary evidence. All right. That is always the problem, you know. And of course, the most problematic thing is anonymity. The scammers are identities, people unknown, using remote computers unknown. All right. And it's really hard to go after them. Okay. Just cartoon to share with you. Okay. To show the how difficult it is to go after the scammers. What more if it has gone to the level of cyber attacks, ransomware, we know who did it, because the perpetrators will come after you and say, oh, we are the one who did it. We are not evil. We only want your money, right? I did mention that, right? They're there to take advantage of your vulnerability. Actually, they want to make money out of you. Okay. But for cyber terrorists, sometimes, organizations may claim that they are responsible for it, or some of them may not, right? But if they want their agenda to be known, sometimes they claim that they are responsible behind it. Cyber attacks is much more malicious. Sometimes you see these attacks coming from a particular remote computer from a country, but you don't know the intention of such cyber attacks. Yes, any more questions? I'm so sorry if I speak too fast, but that's because I was just sharing newspaper columns from my country just to show you the type of crimes that are happening in Malaysia and just to show you the seriousness of these crimes. All right, that there are, the newspaper, there are reports every day, and the amount is staggering. Can you imagine people willing to give 500,000, 1 million in love scam? Can you imagine? Right? So that means the victims are not just the makcik seller at the roadside only, but it can be an executive in a big company because they want to make as much money as possible.
All right. Thank you, Prof. Ida Madieha. Any questions so far for the with time is this question and answer sessions. So let's turn our participant to take a chance to for giving questions. Another? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. One again.
Once again, Prof.
Once again.
Okay. Maybe
Okay.
after Mr. Hussein, Sahliza turn, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Hussein,
Okay.
go.
Thank you for opportunity. I would like ask about how is the rule of non-compliance with cyber security regulation in the rise of cyber attacks against organization, and what the measures can be taken to prevent it. Just
Okay.
that.
Now, you're talking about cybersecurity, right? Now, the
Yeah.
bill that we are drafting, the law that we're drafting, will make it compulsory for organizations to set up a up-to-date cybersecurity system, right? They have to follow certain ISOs. For big companies, especially bank sectors, financial sectors, right? They have to retain trust and confidence from the consumers. I would not be allowing my salary to be deposited in a particular bank if I'm not happy that the bank do not have a proper security system, right? So it's a matter of dollars and cents. And it is important for them to retain this trust and confidence by following certain ISO standards. Not just, just like people say, when you buy your laptop, you will buy Kaspersky security. That's internet security, right? Cyber security. You will pay for Kaspersky. But that Kaspersky will lapse after 1 year. You are using your computer for 5 years. After it lapses, you don't renew it, right? Kaspersky will come after you. Oh, your security system has died, has finished. Would you like to renew your security system? You say, oh, no need. I use it for 1 year. I don't need a security system. No? That's what most people do. This is just for private device. But for companies, they cannot do that. Companies, they have to make sure that their security system is to date, and they have to do they have to undergo security assessment. Like for building, they have fire drills, correct? Fire drills to check whether your fire alarm is working in order or not. So for companies, you have to undergo some kind of cyber assessment to ensure that your cybersecurity is strong, right? So that's one. We make sure that companies follow a high standard of cybersecurity system, following certain ISO or other international certification standard like NIST, for example. Second, the minute they got attacked, they have to notify the government or a government body. Why? Because we don't want the attack to escalate to other sectors, escalate to other sectors. If it's escalate to other sectors, then the damage is more dangerous, right? So that's the law that we are drafting now. We don't depend on their willingness to buy the security system. We make it compulsory for them to adopt some kind of compulsory system and notify whenever an attack occurs. All right. Does that answer your question, Hussein? Yes?
Yeah, Miss.
Okay. Yeah, Daddy mentioned here that apply a firewall to protect computer system. Yeah. Well, firewall can be effective in some sense and it may not be effective in some sense. Yes, Daddy, you want to ask question? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Ida. Is related to cyber has no limit, but the law, we can say Indonesian law, sure, has the limit to apply. The suspect may from various state, various citizenship. I mean, Prof. Ida. We can say the suspect come from South Africa and the victim Indonesian and Indonesian. What law we can apply to this situation? Is that Indonesian law or the South Africa law? How we can take the suspect? Does the government of South Africa allow their citizen to bring to Indonesia to trial? Please explain, Prof. Ida. Thank you.
Yeah, there's another difficulty. Of course, because the crime is perpetrated against Indonesian, that crime occurred in Indonesia, whether it is occurring on cyber law or not, but because it has affected Indonesian victim, then the crime occurred in Indonesia. So you can charge that Nigerian in Indonesia. But the difficulty is, of course, to get that person to be transferred from Nigeria to Indonesia.
Yeah.
Okay. And to do that, you need to get assistance from Nigerian government, right? Nigerian government. And also depends on bilateral relationship between Indonesia and Nigeria. We call that process extradition, right? Extradition, right? So to bring this Nigerian perpetrator to Indonesia, you need to have a bilateral agreement with Nigeria to make it possible for the guy to be extradited to Nigeria. It's not as easy as you think. It is not. It is really difficult, right? The Nigerian authorities may not be cooperating with Indonesian government. You want to get further information about the person, you may not be getting it from the Nigerian authorities. So this is the big problem with all these scams. The fact that it is cross-border. It involves foreign identities, and that's the reason why in Malaysia, in the context of mule account, they go after the Malaysian account owner, not the perpetrators who may come from Nigeria, who may come from other parts of the world. So this is the reason why, if possible, don't fall prey to scams, because it's very, very difficult to enforce. You're quite right, Hussein.
Thank you, Prof.
I think we're running out of time. It's going to be Maghrib.
It's supposed to be
No, not yet, Prof.
not yet. Maybe 10 minutes. In 10 minutes later.
10 minutes, right?
Yeah. 10 minutes. In 10 minutes from the 6 o'clock. So any other questions about the cybersecurity? Any others? Maybe
Daddy mentioned that most victims are women.
Yeah, most victims.
Because women are generous. We want to spend for our family.
Yes. Prof, there's the one person that wants to ask the questions. Miss Liza, can you
Yes,
maybe I
please.
give it one person again?
Okay, thank you, Miss. Thank you, Prof, for your attention. I want to ask about why is it so hard to catch and punish the cybercrime people? Because in Indonesia, the government is so hard, I thought, to catch the culprit, Prof. How in Malaysia is it so hard too? Or there is so easy, Prof?
So
It's
hard.
enough.
So there are very
So hard too?
few prosecutions. Very few prosecutions. Yeah. It's so hard. Yeah. That's why what the police force is doing now is to rely on collaboration with other police agencies. You know, so they ask information from the Interpol. So this is like P2P, we call it, not just G2G. G2G is government to government. So it's police force to another police force. But again, that depends on their willingness to cooperate. At times, they are not willing to cooperate. But you'll be surprised that some of these scams are a syndicate, right? Syndicate. I mean, if it caused problem in Indonesia, chances are it's also causing problem in Malaysia, right? So, and chances are it's also causing problem in Nigeria. So there may be mutual interest to really nab the perpetrators, right? But I've yet to see many cases where the scammers are actually caught by the police force. Very, very few. I've not seen many. Mm. In Malaysia, we also have cases involving child pornography. And in most instances, although I keep asking our police force, how good is their intelligence gathering? See, how good is their intelligence gathering? They also have to be doing the cyber policing, right? Going around looking for evidence. But most the two cases on cyber pornography, child pornography that we had, the tips that we got is from Interpol. That means, their intelligence is much more superior, knowingly so, right? You can't beat CIA and FBI in intelligence gathering.
Yeah. What's happened, Prof? Prof. Ida? There's something like Prof, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What is that? I don't know. It's a fire alarm, probably. Somebody is
I
coming. Okay.
okay, the guest, maybe
Okay.
your guest
Yeah.
house. It's okay. Um, maybe this is the end our guest lecture. So interactive today. So interactive, and maybe this first time, the second time, and the third time, do we have the so interactive lecturing from our Prof. Ida. This is the material so interactive. But as we know that I got the the points. Maybe we taking about before that you talking about the mule account scam. It is new about me. It's new for us because as we know that mule is means like mule drug. It's used by scams, but as we know its identity is not known. The location is not known. Maybe in Indonesia in this case is not found until now is not found. Maybe later we found that the cases is coming yet. Uh, maybe the law is not sufficiently ready. As you said that this is we need the collaboration with the other police agency for another country to prevent the cyber security. As from the presentation, we know that cybersecurity can be uh, conducted by another country to attack maybe one country. So this is the it's a wrap up to our guest lecture today. Is there anything else do you want me to mention before wrapping up? No. Okay. Is it additional, Miss Prof. Ida, to wrap up
Yes,
our?
yes. I need to check what happened.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Magister of Law, we would like to thank you to who made this visiting lecture today. And thank you so much, Prof, for today, for interactive, so interactive. As we know that many people asking about something and answering the question. There's new one for us. Maybe some cases in Malaysia, as we know, if we don't know, so you have to share this today. And thank you for your active participation today to all the participants. And have a good rest for a day today. Before we end up our guest lecture today, so we have to take in photo with you, Prof. Can we?
Okay, please, shall we? Yeah.
So Prof, before that, can I share your materials to all the participants?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you. To all the participants, please don't forget to fill out your attendance list. And here's our professor materials. Please be wait. I will share this. Wait, I just will find out the materials. Okay, here it is. In our chat box, there is our professor materials today. Maybe it takes so long because many capacity. All right, Prof. So we have to take a photo, yeah, Prof. Pak Mahmud, are you there? So we have to take photo, Pak Mahmud.
Of course. Okay.
Of course. Okay.
Okay.
So we have to take photo with our secretary program and our professor. 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. In the slide 1. Okay.
You want me to stop sharing so that
Okay, the
you can see
second
others?
Oh yeah.
one. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. It will help. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Prof.
Mm.
So to all the participants, please open your camera because we are end up our guest lecture. So to all the participants, last call to right. Okay. Okay. The third. This the last. Wait. The last. Okay, thank you for the participating today. Thank you for the turn on your camera. We hope we can collaboration in another event. Maybe Prof. Ida, maybe I can contact you as long as
Sure.
we have near
Yeah.
our guest lecture, ya Pak ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
Prida,
you.
for your
Thank you.
willingness to
Yeah.
be guest lecturer in to our student, Prof. And maybe hopefully that in another time we need your knowledge, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Professor, thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, nice to
Assalamualaikum.
meet you, Prof.
Nice to
Yeah,
meet you,
you too.
Prof. Yeah.
Okay, see
Okay.
you the next session. I'm Siti Khairunnissa signing off. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam
Thank you, Prof.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Miss.
Terima kasih semua ya. Bahannya dipelajarin ya. Nanti ujian UAS-nya dari bahan-bahan tersebut ya. Oke.
Baik, Pak.
Oke,
Terima kasih,
Pak.
Pak.
Baik,
Terima kasih
Pak. Terima
Nisa.
kasih, Pak.
Terima kasih
Ya.
semuanya ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
See you on Thursday, Pak.
Oke.
Another
Oke.
event.
Yes. Thank you Nisa.
Thank you.